Yeah. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. We'd like to seek the blessings of Radha Madhav, Radha Shyam Sundar Krishna, Balaram, Bal Gopal, Gaunita, Srila Prabhupada, and the assembled devotees.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, and all the devotees.
Hare Krishna, Prabhupada. So we going to continue. I think today we'll finish the 3 modes of material nature. This is actually really important because our lives are governed by these 3 modes. And to understand that is very important because it will give us the basis or the foundation to move forward in our spiritual life in a very practical way. Because otherwise it just becomes, it's just a theory, spiritual life is just a theory. This is how we should behave. But if we see actually in practical terms how we are governed by these modes and how we can behave in such a way to improve ourselves, then it becomes very practical in terms of our application towards spiritual life. And we try to, engage ourselves as best as we can. In this world is hard because there's so many distractions, there's so many things that we have to do in order to satisfy, society or our relatives or friends. But in the end, we have to understand that only we are responsible for our actions and behavior. So if we do something, we're going to pay the price. Nobody else will pay the price for us. We will have to pay that price. So sometimes one has to be a little bit selfish, not self-centered, but selfish in the sense that we want to make as much spiritual progress as possible. And of course, if we are on the right path and want to make spiritual progress, we're actually going to live for others. So it's not selfish. It's not self-centered. It's selfish in the sense that we want to make as much spiritual progress as possible. But to do that, we have to live for others. So let's see how these modes, where we are, and how to try to improve from the situation that we're at the moment. And all of us have room for improvement. Otherwise, we wouldn't be in this world. We would be in the spiritual world. We're here because we have a problem. And together we can improve our knowledge base, improve our situation, so we get better and better. So we talked about these 4 topics last Friday, how our characteristics and manifestations in the different modes, and then we have this 4th mode, if you like. There's the 3 modes that we always talk about: Tamagun, Rajagun, Satagun, and then we have Shuddha Sattvagun, which is pure goodness. Because we know goodness alone, even if we are good in the mode of goodness, it's actually not going to be enough to take us to the spiritual world. It will put us in good stead in this world, and we may even end up in the heavenly planets for some time and enjoy. But when that karmic bank balance is reduced to zilch, we come back again to earth. So what's the point? So we want to go from goodness, if that's where we are, into pure goodness. So charity-wise, giving to the right person at the right time is in the mode of goodness. But giving to the Supreme Lord via the temple, perhaps, or via the devotees, giving to the devotees, that is pure goodness, pure goodness. That will take us to the spiritual world. Food, there's so many, eating meat, bad idea. Eating too much spicy, food which is too salty, it's just not going to be good for the health, let alone not good for our consciousness. But eating, sattvic food, vegetables and milk products, of course, that's a bit of a contentious thing nowadays, milk. But veganism has actually no basis in this in the scriptures, because milk is regarded as very important to the health of the human being. Of course, the exploitation of Gomata is really very, very bad for society. And somehow that we have to balance our life so that we have Gomata in our consciousness, and we do something practical to give protection to the Gomata. But at the same time, we have access to the produce that the Gomata makes, because that is actually good for our health, our well-being. And of course, we offer things to the Lord, which is made from milk, and that is part of our bhakti. So that tradition we can't just abolish just like that. Anyway, food which is offered to God, as we discussed, is becomes prasad. So even if whatever we're eating, it's actually a spiritual activity. That's really fantastic. And objects of worship, worshipping the devatas. There's nothing wrong per se worshipping the devatas, unless one is worshipping for a business transaction. I worship you, Lord Shiva, you give me money. That's a business transaction. That's not worship. So our worship should be without motivation. It should be for our love for the Lord. So that's very important. And worshipping the Supreme Lord, of course, is the highest form of worship. All right. So let's go into the next lot now. Sacrifice. Perform faithlessly in defiance of scripture injunctions, with no spiritual food distributed, no hymns chanted, no remuneration made to the priest. Sometimes we see this in Kali Yuga. People will do yagya, but there's no scriptural basis that they're following. No prasad is distributed. No Brahmins are invited. No dakshina is given. No priests are there. Then there's sacrifice in the mode of passion, performed proudly, ostentiously, for the sake of some material end or benefit, i.e., do the yagya, we want something out of it, name, fame, or perhaps even elevation to the heavenly planets. But we want something in return. We're not doing it for the sake of duty. We're doing it for the sake of gain, profit. Goodness is where we do it as a duty, according to the scriptures. And we don't want anything back in return. That's really good. But what's better than that is performed, again, according to scriptures, under the guidance of the Guru, but to please the Supreme Lord. That is the best. So when we do yagya, it's to please the Lord. We are doing this, my dear Lord, to get closer to you, to do some sort of service that will please you. Like when we go to a home, new home, we do Graha Pravesh. Graha Pravesh is we inviting the Lord to enter into the home of that family, so that the Lord becomes the center of their life, and very pleasing to the Lord. Austerities, the next category of event in our life that we may be performing. And how are we performing it? Are we in ignorance, or are we in passion, or are we in goodness? Perform foolishly by means of obstinate self-torture, or to destroy and injure others. Like Hiranyakashipu, he was doing tapasya, putting his hands up on tiptoe. Thousands of years he was standing. Self-torture. And in order to gain power to destroy others. That's ignorance. Austerity performed ostentatiously to gain respect, honor, and reverence brings only unstable temporary results. So sometimes, people fast and they fast for days and days, especially in one tradition. And perhaps that fasting is more to get name and fame. Ah, this person fasted for such a long time. He's such a great man. Actually, when we fast or when we do some austerity, we should keep it a secret. We shouldn't tell others. Should not be proud of it, because then we're seeking honor. But ideally, we just want to keep it very quiet. Nobody should know. Goodness, perform with faith. Yes, Bhavin. You must be muted.
Yeah, Hare Krishna. Prabhuji, all this, just a small question. When you say we're doing fasting, are we harming our body,
Good question.
or is it because here you said some people just do many days just fasting, just to please the God, but he's still giving his body a punishment without eating
Right,
anything.
right. Yes, too much fasting is not good. Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, the yogi is one who eats, does not eat too much, does not eat too little. He does not sleep too much, it does not sleep too little. So it has to be a balance in life. One thing is, one austerity that we can perform in this age of Kali Yuga without torturing our bodies, Ekadasi. Ekadashi is very good. And Ekadashi, we are permitted to also fast without water. So that fast is allowed. Otherwise, you're right. You're torturing not just the body or the self, but you're also torturing Paramatma. Because
And your brain also goes sometimes, because you have not eaten anything, you can get even angry with the family also, and
yeah,
that is also not good.
not good. Yeah, it's
Not
true.
good.
That's true. Too much fasting, when it becomes out of control, that's not the idea. The idea of fasting is to remember God more. Eat less and remember God more. If we are fasting and we're remembering God less, then that fasting may not be good for us.
Okay, thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you for that question. So, good austerity and goodness. Perform with faith and without desire for one's material benefits. So, bodily austerities include cleanliness, simplicity, celibacy, non-violence, offering of respect to the demigods, the Brahmins, spiritual master, superiors like the mother and father. Austerity of speech, speaking beneficially, truthfully, inoffensively, and with reference to Vedic scriptures. And then there's mental austerities, which is celerity, simplicity, gravity, self-control, purity of thought, detaching the mind from self-gratification. So this is austerity, which is described actually by Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita, in the mode of goodness. And that austerity, which is performed with faith and with a desire to satisfy the Supreme Lord, that is, of course, the best. That is the best. So then, if we are, for example, staying up at night on Janmashtami night till midnight and then observing the Lord's appearance, that austerity is very nice, because we are trying to please the Supreme Lord and remember Him. That's the whole point, remembering the Lord. Worker.
Prabhuji,
Yes, Naniman.
yes, I'm talking about austerity of speech, when we speak truthfully and inoffensively, but sometimes it's other party with whom you're trying to hold a conversation with, they sort of have some points and they sort of think that what you are telling is not true, and they sort of try to agitate you. And sometimes in this process, one can become a bit agitated, not angry, but trying to speak a little bit of a louder noise that what I'm trying to tell you is this. So does that push us into the mode of passion?
It can, yes, it can, it can. I think what was that austerity of speech where you can speak the truth, but in a very palatable way. So that is good. You know, like sometimes, like yesterday, we were having a conversation with somebody who's very keen on vegetarianism, right? And they were saying every class we must talk about vegetarianism and how cruel it is to animals, and that's really true. Um, and of course, we have to have compassion for the animals, but you can't throw something down people's throats every time you meet them. You know, it may be the truth, it may be good for them, but there has to be, you know, we might be pushing them in the wrong direction. You tell them too many times, they might just go the other direction, you know. So it's best, yes, truth has to be spoken. And if we do it in a way which is palatable, which is nicely said, you know, nicely explained, without being personal to that person, you know, because as soon as you become personal, oh, you are like this, of course, that person's gonna, defenses will go up and then start saying, hey, you know, who are you to tell me this, you know? Look at your life. You're not perfect. And that's true as well. We are not perfect. So it's very true. It can be very agitating. And especially when you're close to that person, you're caring for that person. You want that person to really, you know, like be benefited, but they won't necessarily see eye to eye with you. So what do you do in that situation? I think you all have to take a back step and think, okay, I've had this experience with this person. They may not, they may get agitated, but I'll say it in a different way. You know, by my Lord, please guide me so that I can say it in a way that it will benefit them, but it doesn't seem like I'm pushing it down their throat, you know? Isn't it? Not even.
Yeah. Especially as you correctly said, those who are near ones.
Near ones, yeah.
And yeah, we recently had a bad experience, but that's a different matter altogether.
Okay. Yeah. And the thing is, when you're close to somebody, you inevitably, when you're close to somebody, you're going to have friction with that person.
Yes.
And you know, like the Pandavas, they were close, they were one, but there were also friction between them. All of them had friction with each other, but they managed to, you know, because the Lord was in the center of their life, they would always reconcile. You know, they would always find a way to work as one. But it's not easy in the age of Kali.
Oh.
It's like Shiva was asked the question, you know, you have the carrier is a Nandi, the bull, whereas Mother Parvati's carrier is the tiger or the lion, you know. The lion and the bull don't see eye to eye, right? And the son of Shiva and Parvati, Kartikeya, his carrier is a peacock. And Lord Shiva has a snake around him. And the peacocks eat snakes, you know. And then Ganpati, his carrier is a rat, you know, or a mouse. And, you know, the snake eats the mouse. So you can just imagine their family meetings, you know, all sorts of things happening. But what Lord Shiva said, yes, it's very true. But we take the name of Ram. We chant Ram's name, Rama, and Rama reconciles everything. He brings peace to everything. So this was very interesting conversation. You know, he was. I don't know who it was with, but this is what Lord Shiva was saying. Because we always chant the name of Ram, we always reconcile. We always have we you know, even if there is friction between us, it's resolved by the name of Ram. So if that's a common factor, then that will help. But it doesn't necessarily always help. I know from my own family experience, it's really hard. It's very, very hard. What to do?
What to do? Yes, it's a
Material world.
problem. It's a real problem. Yeah.
Yeah, it can be. But this is where the Lord helps us become detached, and that detachment is very important because that's what's keeping us in this world, attachment. And the more we become detached and more the Lord, like helps us in that way, he can make the frictions take place so that the detachment is forced. And that's good. Thank you, my Lord. You forced me to become detached. Thank you. I was so attached. I am so attached. But now I'm not so attached. Thank you to you, my dear Lord. So instead of perhaps pointing a finger at the Lord, why did you do that? Why did you make me fight with my whatever, Instead, we thank him. Thank you for reducing our attachment to that person. That always helps, that gratitude to the Lord. Hope that's okay, Nariman.
Yes, that's fine.
Thank you. Thank you. So, worker, person who works, well, they work without spiritual injunctions. They're materialistic, obstinate, they have a cheating, lazy nature, morose, always angry, procrastinating, never does anything. An expert in insulting others. That's really not good. Bad place to be. And we know in the workplace, we can probably identify these qualities with a few people, right? Attached, passion-wise, attached to the fruits of his work, intent on enjoying them, greedy, envious, unclean, entangled by happiness and distress. That's in the mode of passion. Most people fall into this category. They go to work. They wouldn't go to work unless they got paid, which makes sense. But with that pay, they will use it only for their benefit or their family's benefit, and not look at the wider self-interest of the community or the society. Very greedy, envious. If they see another person doing better than them, they become envious. And their vision of life is just indulging in happiness. We want they want to buy this, that, the other. They're thinking that those objects will give happiness, but we know that material objects will never give us happiness. Those are in God of goodness. They're free from material attachments or pride or false ego. They're enthusiastic. They're resolute. They're unswayed by success or failure. Whether we do well or not, it doesn't matter. As a matter of duty, I will work. I will do my. Arjun, after hearing the Gita, he said, okay, I'll fight. I'll do what you want me to do. It doesn't matter whether I win or lose. And then pure goodness. That worker unconditionally serves Krishna and the Guru under any and all circumstances. And in this Kali Yuga, there's so many, so many challenges, and Krishna very kindly puts us in front of those challenges. Like Arjun, when he initially said to Krishna, "Please take my chariot in the middle of the battlefield. I want to see who's there." And Krishna took it right in front of Bhishma. His biggest weakness was Bhishma, because he loved Bhishma and he knew Bhishma is the strongest person. And what did Krishna do? Took him right in front of his biggest challenge. So we will also have that. Krishna will bring those challenges to the forefront. And he will also help us if we take shelter of him. He'll help us overcome them. Okay. Renunciation. Oh my goodness, time is shooting by. Consists of giving up one's prescribed duties because of illusion. They gave a class in the temple and they said I should just go and live in the forest. So we give up everything and go and live in the forest. All our duties are left behind. That's not good. That's not good. Passion consists of giving up one's prescribed duties because of fear or because they appear troublesome. Very hard to do this, so I'm not going to do it. In goodness, we'll do it. Whatever the duty is, whether I succeed or fail, doesn't matter. And I'm not going to worry about the fruit of that duty. Pure goodness, we do it in Krishna consciousness. Whatever our duty is, but we connect it with God. Knowledge, in terms of ignorance, there is no knowledge. It's just sleeping all the time. Eating, sleeping, mating, defending. That's all, just like the animals. In terms of good, in terms of passion, gives rise to speculative doctrines and theories through which one sees the body as the self. So everything is connected to the body and nothing beyond that. Whereas goodness, one actually sees the self. Yes, I am the soul. But in pure goodness, one sees the self in connection with the Supreme. Yes, I am a soul, but there is a super soul who I'm connected to. And we work in that mood. Action becomes very irresponsible. That person is in a mode of ignorance. Irresponsible, violent, illusion, doesn't care for scriptures, results in foolishness behavior. In passion, one acts with false ego. I am the doer. I have done everything. I am the cause of my success. And without me, nothing would happen. In goodness is a different mood. They will, their mood is actually, yeah, I am meant to do this and I will do it to the best of my ability. Even though it's hard or troublesome, I will do it to the best. I don't care if I get any rewards for it. And in pure goodness, our actions are simply done. Every act is done to please the Supreme Lord. Not an easy thing to do, every single act of ours to please the Lord, but their consciousness is in that mood. The time of day, those who are ignorant, they love the night. They stay up all night, they sleep all day. The one in the mode of passion, they love the day, they sleep at night. Mode of goodness, early morning, they wake up early, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock. Mode of pure goodness, anytime they can serve God. Middle of the night, no problem. Just a few more. The understanding. Person who's in ignorance, they think religion is irreligion and irreligion is religion. This is in a completely wrong direction. In the mode of passion, they can't distinguish necessarily between irreligion and religion. Whatever their conviction is, that's what they will follow, whether it's religious or irreligious. They don't care. One is in the mode of goodness. They will know what is good and what is not good, according to the scriptures, what is to be done, what is not to be done. In mode of passion, goodness, pure goodness, they'll always perfectly consider Krishna through personal realization confirmed by scriptures and in the spiritual mind. So their understanding will be according to the scriptures and it will be perfect. The determination, one who's in ignorance, they're just daydreaming. They're just daydreaming, dreaming that he's Superman or Batman or something, you know. And they're always morose and blaming others. They can't do because this person is at fault or that person is at fault. When we are in company with that sort of person, it is very, very hard. Very, very hard. Because we also become morose, you know. We have to really help that person or just stay away from that person, you know. Determination in the mode of passion, fixed upon securing the fruits of religion, economic development, and sense. They want to get things. They want to work hard in order to acquire more and more possessions. In a mode of goodness, they will simply want to be, they are very practical, unbreakable, they're sustained by, with steadfastness and by yoga, controls the mind. They're very, very strong in their determination. Even if in a very challenging situation, their determination will be fixed. You can rely on that person. And one who's in full Krishna consciousness, well, they are completely engaged 24/7 in God consciousness. Happiness, that person who thinks happiness comes from, happiness is actually, let's start with goodness. In the beginning, it's very, very hard, but that happiness in the end becomes nectar. So meditation, chanting mantras, in the beginning is very hard, but as we become more and more practiced and enthusiastic, it becomes nectar to chant the holy names. In passion, what is happiness in the beginning, nectar in the beginning, it turns to poison, like eating too many gulab jamuns. Very nice, you eat 1, 2, 3. After that, ugh, don't want to see another gulab jamun. In the beginning is nectar, but at the end, poison. And that person is in mode of ignorance. It's poison in the beginning, poison in the middle, poison in the end. It's just horrible. But for that person is in pure goodness, he's in ecstasy all the time because he is trying to please the Supreme Lord. He's connected with God. So he's always in a position of happy, being happy. Colors, blue is supposed to be ignorance. Of course, Krishna was a bluish, blackish color. Red is supposed to be passion, yellow is goodness, and white is supposed to be pure goodness. And animals who are in these modes, monkeys are in ignorance, apparently, and lions in passion, cows in goodness, and animals like Garud and Hanuman, etc., are in pure goodness, of course. So I wanted to stop there, just give us an idea of where we are, where our consciousness is. And this is very personal to us. Nobody should point fingers, hey, you're in the mode of ignorance, or you're in the mode of passion. And we shouldn't do that either. We should just focus on where we are and try to improve our situation and not worry too much about others unless they ask for help. That's a different matter. But otherwise, we keep to ourselves. We keep improving our own situation rather than worrying about another person's situation. I hope that's okay. And any questions, any comments?
Very good session, Prabhuji. Yeah, we have to remember this.
Yeah.
And yeah, this is the problem. Because
Yeah.
when you try to be in the mode of goodness, trying to help others, but at times you flip over.
Yeah.
And you try to sort of do everything for Krishna, but even then at times you fail. But as you say, at that time you have to pray to Krishna to please guide me, and I'm sorry that I failed you today.
Yeah.
And continue. And it's one of the things about detachment.
Yeah.
That is a good point, which is I'm trying to convince myself that's what has been happening.
Yeah.
Detachment from the material modes of nature, of the material form of the life. And relative, you and mine will come into that. So we don't want that.
Correct. And I mean, sometimes it's very painful, but when we look at it later, if something happens with a relationship, we basically can say to the Lord, my dear Lord, yes, I was very attached in that way. Now I don't feel so attached. And it's because of you, your kindness, you've broken that attachment. And I'm thankful to you, But in the moment, it's very, very hard. Very hard.
True.
It is very hard. But I think that gratitude to God, my dear Lord, thank you so much, Otherwise, I'll always be attached, and when will I get out of this world? Make me more detached. Of course, we don't ask for trouble, but but we want him to help us because we need help. So, Prabhupada?
Yes, Hare Krishna. What about the doing the goodness with the family?
Have to be goodness with the family. Otherwise, family life will be a nightmare.
But what about the attachment with them?
Mm. Yes. Now, this is the thing.
And you can't ignore them.
No. You can't ignore them. It's a little bit like Prabhupada. Prabhupada, this might be a little. Okay, I'll give you.
Okay, tomorrow.
No, I'll give you the example. That's you might find this a little odd, okay, what I'm going to say.
Yeah.
Prabhupada used to say, okay, if a lady has a lover, right? She's married, but she has a lover. So in a husband, biju ko khase, right? Husband che,
Yeah.
biju ko ke che, in life ma.
हाँ.
So એ છે ને એનું હાઉસવર્ક એકદમ ફાઇન કરશે કેમ કે એના હસબન્ડ આવશે ઘરે તો એને લાગશે ઓ my wife is loving me so much, looking after the house so much, but actually એનું mind is on the lover. But she's doing her housework so nicely that the husband is thinking, she loves me so much. In the same way, our mind can always be with God, always thinking about God, but we do everything very, very nicely so that nobody can feel, this person is ignoring me. Now, this is not easy, Prabhupada. It's not easy. But somehow, if we are always focused on God, at the same time, we can be like this woman who has a lover. She's also focusing on the husband and the family. So we can also do the same. We can try. We can be attached to Krishna, at the same time do our seva to our family,
The duties, yeah.
our duties, so that they don't think there is nothing wrong. They think, Prabhupada, you are such a wonderful mother, such a wonderful wife, but your focus is actually God. Not
Right.
easy
Thank you.
to practice, but it's possible. Prabhupada put it in the Bhagavad Gita, so it's possible.
All right. Thank you. Thank
Thank
you
you
for
so much.
explaining.
Hare
Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Okay, let's stop. We've gone way over, as always. Hare Krishna. Sanatan Dharma ki jai. Hare Krishna.